Welcome to Smells Like Potential, the rewatch podcast you didn't know you needed. Rebecca learns she's a role model for her goddaughter and leans into doing the rightest thing during tough financial times. AFC Richmond is tied up over the return of Jamie Tart. Sam takes a stand against the team's sponsor and subsidiaries, and the streak is finally broken.
Yay! Oh, wait. I think it might not be broken the way the
Oh,
team wants it to be broken, but hey, at least they can turn a corner now. We have a bunch of pop culture references in this episode, rapid fire. Ted refers to himself as Miyagi, which is, of course, a reference to the Karate Kid movies. But he says very quickly, without all the yard work, which I think is pretty funny.
no, wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And Ted gives us Dunstan Union, which is a reference to Bring It On, the best cheerleading movie ever made, if I give my opinion on that. So Kirsten Dunst and Gabrielle Union play the two main characters from Bring It On.
Yep. When you hear it, I swear I thought it was like an accounting firm or some sort of,
A
regulatory
country
agency.
music duo.
Yeah, yeah. Nope, nope. He also does a quick reference to Tim Burton's trees, and then he says any Tim Burton movie, even Dumbo. I looked it up, and they are all pretty much sort of withered trees, no leaves, dark. It's sort of the Tim Burton vibe, right?
Right? We see them in Nightmare Before Christmas and Frankenweenie and Sleepy Hollow. He's not wrong. There are always trees in any Tim Burton movie.
And then a very nice reference that's sort of a throwaway as he's leaving a scene with Sassy and Rebecca. He says, "Shall we do what the man says and make this day our masterpiece?" And I think what he was talking about there is John Wooden, his philosophy to make each day your masterpiece. The woodeneffect.com has a lot of the coach's wisdom available. I actually had the honor of hearing him speak in person at one of the events that I helped manage at the Orange County Department of Education. He's inspiring in person and tremendously wise. And we're going to hear more about John Wooden's philosophy. His pyramid of success is hanging behind Ted's head. Every time he's in his office, the camera pretty much has it in the frame to really underscore his belief system as a coach. He's obviously a basketball coach, and we know that Jason Sudeikis himself, the sport he played was basketball. So it is sort of his first love, and we'll see it come back and come back strongly towards the end of the season.
We have to talk about this episode's title, Do the Rightest Thing. This is in reference to Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing that was released at the Cannes Film Festival in 1989. If you haven't had an opportunity to see this movie, stop what you're doing. We'll wait for you. Do the Right Thing dives into racial tension, police violence, moral judgment, and responsibility. One of the features of the movie is Public Enemy's Fight the Power. And this song was written specifically for the movie. Spike Lee was looking for a motif to go throughout the movie. And if you break down every single line in Fight the Power, it is so deep with history, specifically Black history. There's a quote by Nina Simone that says, "An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times." And so, Do the Right Thing, Public Enemies, Fight the Power, and now Ted Lasso is reflecting the times. Fight the Power is about the system and the abuse of power. And we see the abuse of power in this episode in Ted Lasso.
Absolutely. This movie launches Spike Lee's career. And I think it was a revelation in Hollywood to do what Nina Simone's quote asks artists to do. So Sam has his own journey into social justice. He finds that he's disappointed his dad over getting a sponsorship with Dubai Air. His dad says Dubai Air is a subsidiary of Cerithian Oil. Both of these are fictional companies, of course. Cerithian Oil has dabbled in politics in Nigeria, corrupting the government and paying them to look the other way. This does have a connection to reality. Nigeria has been listed as one of the more corrupt governments in the world on every major survey since the last 30, 40 years. So it is an easy link into reality for the show, even though these are fictional companies. So he decides he's going to simply tape over the Dubai Air and on his chest.
Well, I love that Sam looks himself in the mirror. He's they're in the locker room and he has to make a choice. There's a moral dilemma and he feels like he is personally responsible. So that simple protest of taping over the club sponsor was really powerful.
Absolutely. And initially, it's the Nigerian members of the team that join Sam, but it's Jamie that steps up. And he's the first non Nigerian to ask for the tape to tape up his jersey as well. And when they say, "Why are you doing this?" he answers, "We're a team, ain't we? Got to wear the same kit." It is a show of solidarity that he's making. And really, it's his step forward in regaining some level of trust with the team. When Ted goes to the press room after the game, he speaks from the heart and he presents himself as an ally and then does not deign to speak for Sam. He invites Sam instead to speak directly to the press. And when he's doing that, he says, "I've never needed the kind of courage that Sam and the team displayed today. Because, well, honestly, when bad things happen to people like me, y'all have a tendency to write about it without even being asked." And as he says that, he makes a gesture towards his face as if describing his skin color. So I even misremembered the quote. I thought he said people that looked like me because that was the gesture he gave us. So he hands it off to Sam to speak his own truth, and it's pretty powerful.
I love that Trent asked a follow-up question. It was just a generalized, "Why did you do this?" Sam has a response, and Trent Krim says, "Wait, are you openly accusing the Nigerian government of corruption?" And Trent's eyes are just on fire. They're alight. He has a story, and it is something that he can grapple with. I saw this as a turning point for Trent to no longer be, quote unquote, just a football journalist. He has a story to tell.
A step towards independence, perhaps, for Trent Graham.
Maybe.
We mentioned trust and rebuilding trust. That's another theme of this episode. Jamie is trying to be better, but he doesn't quite know the path. He's been a jerk for so much of his career, guided by his dad's demand that he's dominant on the field and in the locker room, that he's trying to be good, but just doesn't know how. So he's like, "Hey, should I buy PS5s for a team?" Another time he tries cracking a joke to see if he could fit in. Neither of those really land. He does try to make a sincere apology and own up to his actions, but even that backfires on him. They're just not ready, and he's not very good at it, honestly.
Right? He did some pretty horrible things.
Yes, he hits on Bumbercatch's mom, and then even in his apology, he says, "Tell Janet I hope she's doing well," which again does not make you feel better.
That's not an apology. And Richard swears at him in French. At one point, the team is all telling Jamie at the same time what he's doing. And Jan Moss pops in and says, "I don't know you, but I don't like you."
Yes, that made me laugh out loud.
It really did. So, for Jamie struggling to rebuild the trust, he ultimately finds that it's extending respect for his teammates in that moral dilemma of whether or not
Yeah,
to protest against the club sponsor.
yeah, and there's one other moment that we'll talk about in a minute that earns some points, I think, for him as well.
It's that beginning of rebuilding trust.
Yeah,
We have some new faces in this episode.
yes, we do.
So delighted to meet Nora. She is a straight shooter, just like her mom. This is the actress Kiki May. She does an amazing job of being the goddaughter with sass, shall I say? She
Understandable.
tells this great story about sometimes you have to do the right thing even if you lose. Rebecca is, I think, in awe of her goddaughter that she's missed out 6 years on.
Yeah. And she initially tries to recreate those 6 years, takes her to a small tea party with a bunch of 6-year-olds, tries to take her to a doll store, and realizes that she can't do that. That's a window that has closed. She can't be the fairy godmother that she thought she could be. And instead finds, with some wisdom from Roy, that just involving her in her life is really the best path and mentoring her to some degree. She is the CEO of a Premier League, well, formerly Premier League soccer team, and this is an extraordinary opportunity for Nora to see firsthand what that looks like and to see, is this something I'd like to do or is this something that I'm not interested in? But surprise or not surprise, she's got great business instincts. She talks to
She
Rebecca really quickly and gets the feel for things. She also talks to Keely about banter and gets that. Talks to Leslie about the football team's finances. So very quick to pick things up.
There was a little throwaway moment where Rebecca asks Nora if she wants tea, and Nora just shakes her head, "No." So I feel like Nora is a little bit of every character. She's got business acumen like Rebecca. She's got social media know-how and influence with banter. She doesn't like tea like Ted. She understands finances like Higgins. And I think we get to see a little bit more of Nora moving forward.
I hope so. It was great to hear her mentioned and then see her in person in the show. We also sort of get to meet a new character. This character is called Led Tasso, played by a familiar actor, Jason Sudeikis, in sort of an anti-alter ego Ted Lasso moment. It's a psychological trick that if he becomes the team's new enemy, then it will band them together, even with Jamie. And this is that moment I was referencing earlier where it's Jamie that finally snaps him out of it, calls him on his Jekyll and Hyde act, if you will. He cancels the rest of practice, to which the whole team is grateful to Jamie for getting that result. And they actually even pat him on the shoulder and thank him as they walk by, leaving the pitch, because it was his intervention that gets Led Tasso to flip it and say, fine, cancel. I'm going to start 0 team members on Saturday. It is a ludicrous approach, and Dr. Fieldstone calls them out for it, asking, has it ever worked?
Yes, she does. What did they call Chuck E. Cheese?
Chesterton Edgar Cheeserton, I think is the name.
The third.
The third, yes. And so they totally don't get what she's saying. Well, maybe you just don't have Chuck E. Cheese in Britain. That's not what she's talking about. She's talking about the psychological trick you attempted to play. To some degree, it seems to work. I don't know.
I think it does a little bit. At least it starts Jamie on the right path to rebuilding trust. Uh, a new face without a face is the introduction of banter. Keely is doing freelance PR, and I got really curious. Is Keely being paid to be the head of marketing, or is everything freelance and she's earning commissions?
It's a reasonable question, especially since they're in financial troubles. And there are contracts where if you bring in $2 million for the team, you get some percentage of that. So maybe that's the arrangement they've made. And she got Dubai Air. And so maybe she's able to call herself director of marketing because she's pulled those pieces in. But she could be full time. And Rebecca is just allowing her to do freelance work on the side on the club's time. Not an ideal environment to set up, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea that she's full on freelance because she doesn't have a company, and we will see a company later in the series.
Right. As she's introducing banter, Colin mentions grinder because of the lack of the E. That is a really big hint that's
Mhm.
coming up for us into season 3. I don't know that I necessarily caught that on my first watch,
I
but
did not, yeah, but I did
knowing what
notice,
I know now.
yeah, I did notice Isaac is staring dead ahead. He doesn't react at all, almost as though he didn't hear it, or if he did, he's not willing to recognize what that hint might mean. We see that comes to a head in season 3 with those two and their relationships. I specifically sought out Isaac on a screen. I was like, "What's Isaac doing when he says that?" Because I think that
Mhm.
is interesting. And then this is not a new face, but Shannon, the football girl, she gets several lines because coach has to run off, presumably because he's reached a new level of relationship with Jane and doesn't have as much time to hang around waiting for Ted to come downstairs from his flat. So he leaves the coffee with Shannon to deliver to Ted. And she does an impressive Coach Beard impression with an American accent. The actress, whose name is also Shannon, is British, and so she's got a solid American accent she can pull off. And now I really want to see her on the Lady Greyhounds.
Season 4, please, please bring us Shannon.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow for our reaction to season 2, episode 4, Carol of the Bells. And our outro quote is, "Doing the right thing is never the wrong thing."